Okay, I'm going to hit record. Okay, go for it.
Hey, this is Kevin Murphy from evolveartist.com. You're listening to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, reminding you that you can learn to create art without limits.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to hit
Here we
stop.
go.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Dr. Tracy Gapin. I could put comma MD, but I already said doctor. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, you said either way.
Either
Just
way.
Dr. Tracy Gapin,
yeah,
fine.
Doc Tracy. That's
You
the
got
one I
it.
like.
Everyone calls me Doc Tracy. That's totally fine.
Perfect.
You got it.
Perfect. So thank you
man.
so much for being here and welcome to the show. How's it going?
Of course. Glad to be here with you today. Thanks.
Yeah, it took a couple of tries. You know, we're both. Usually I'm not busy, but this year was unusually busy for me with weird shit happening. So sorry about that, but we got it. You're here, I'm here, and we're both in blue. It's amazing.
There you go.
Great. I love it. So you are at the GapinInstitute.com. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today.
Thanks so much. Today, I'm excited about really carrying forth my mission of transforming healthcare through now training other doctors to go through the amazing transition that I went through and build a business and a life that you love.
Yeah.
And that's become a passion project for me of helping guide other doctors along the same path that I went on.
Yeah, totally. Good on you. I mean, totally needed. Like the system needs a jolt in the arm and a big veer.
It does. It does for sure.
So, okay. So this is Vroom Vroom Veer. That means we have to go back in the past, and you have MD at the end of your name. So that means at some point in your life as a young person, you made this very humongous decision to pursue a career in the medical field. So talk about that. When did that happen? What was that like? And yeah, just walk us through that.
4th grade.
Wow.
Knew I was going to be a doctor in 4th grade.
Wow.
There was
It's
a
good.
diagram.
It's good. That's
I knew
it
very
needs
early
to be
on
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was this diagram on the ground of a heart and how the blood flows through the heart, and we had to walk through that path on the ground. You know, as you know, learning about anatomy.
Wow.
And I became just passionately obsessed and fascinated about the human body and anatomy and how the body works. And my mom was a nurse, so that might have had some influence on that. But I knew very early on that I wanted to be a doctor, and went through my whole young life preparing for it. It's a very long path of, you know, you're in college, you're preparing for medical school. In medical school, you're preparing for residency training. In residency training, you're preparing for practice. So it's a long, arduous path to get there.
How do you hold that focus from 4th grade? I mean, that's crazy to me. I mean, you must have like told people, right?
Yeah.
Like, you told people.
We'll come back. We'll come back to this point again later, the point of certainty. It's where certainty, there's no doubt that it's, I know with absolute conviction, confidence, certainty in my mind that that's what I'm going to do. So, you know, the way I like to look at a lot of things is once you're very clear that this is what you want to do, okay, now I can get down to the nitty gritty of how do I do it. But the story in my mind has to be very clear that this is what I'm going to do. It's not, I wonder if I want to be a doctor. I hope there was never wondering or hoping. It was, I'm going to be a doctor and this is what it's going to take to get there.
It's not an if, it's a when. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that mindset kind of drove me forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Wow. That's amazing. I don't know if I can like recall, definitely not career wise. I remember like being like several years into an Air Force career and having like a senior enlisted guy say, where do you see your Air Force career going? And I don't know. I've been improvising this whole show. You know, I have no idea where this is going. And it was honest. That was an honest answer. You know, I didn't know, you know, I think a lot of people, well, fortunate or otherwise, are like that. They're just like everything.
100%.
A lot of their life lacks that focus and certainty, right? And I was one of those people. So good on you, and good on fourth grade you. Wow. that you had that laser focus. So, okay.
Yes.
So you
Very
do
early
all
on.
those things. Yeah. And obviously med school, getting in is just a challenge. And then going on from there has got to be crazy, but you did it. So talk about like life right after med school, and now you're a doctor. You're officially Dr. Tracy.
Yeah, now I'm a doctor.
What do you do?
And interestingly, in medical school, you have to decide in the very beginning of your third year of medical school. You've gone through the basic science, the bookwork, and the lectures, and the training, and the gross anatomy and dissection and all that. Now you're in the hospital, and now you have to decide very quickly, actually, what you want to do for the rest of your life. It's amazing how small that window is. You have to very quickly make this very critical decision.
Right.
Could you change that decision later? You can, but for the most part, you kind of got to have an idea.
Right.
I knew I was going to be a surgeon. I knew that very early on in my life. I have a surgeon's mentality.
Okay.
Didn't know what kind, but when I found urology, found men's health, it really fascinated me, and ultimately that's what I chose to pursue was urology.
Okay.
And so now it's finding a urology residency program and training, and you have to go through general surgery first. So I ended up in University of Florida, and I did 6 years of training in general surgery and urology at University of Florida as the next step of the path.
Okay. Crazy. And just so I've never heard this. How much time do you have to make that decision? You're like, okay, I felt some of that because I did a bachelor's degree in psychology. And like the capstone class was, okay, now you get to decide what kind of psychologist you want to be. And then that's going to dictate the next 2 or 4 years of your college, right? Yeah. And I was like, what? You're asking me this now? I didn't. Today's Thursday. I have no idea what's happening right now.
Right.
So how long did you have that to make that decision?
So the year goes July through June in medical training, medical school and residency. It's always July 1 through June 30th calendar year. And applications for urology specifically start in about March, April, May or so. And so I had from July 1 until really March to make that decision.
Okay.
So it's about a 9-month or so window that you have of deciding what specialty you want to go into. Some people wait until their 4th year, but by then you're really kind of late in the game and applications are due, and now it becomes a frantic race. So you kind of got to know during that 3rd year.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay. So now you get through the crazy next 6 years of your life, and that's like no sleep.
That's right. So I'm doing surgical training. I am in the hospital 120 hours a week minimum.
Wow. Minimum. That's a good week.
On a good week, yeah. So
it's nuts.
It's an intense training, but at that point, that was my love. I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I was a surgeon. I'm learning surgical skills. I'm learning patient care. I'm learning all these clinical, foundational points of knowledge. And I came out of urology training loving urology.
Sure.
And came down here to Sarasota, Florida, joined a very busy practice, and spent my entire career in that one same practice the whole time.
Wow.
And everything was great until it wasn't.
Interesting.
And I hit a wall like so many doctors experience, where it's about halfway through my career where I hit a wall. And I don't think burnout does it justice. Okay. It was disillusionment. It was
this thing that you were
decay.
So certain about.
Yeah, you bring up a great point that I knew that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then I'm there and suddenly I'm like, holy cow, this is not at all what it's cracked up to be.
Interesting. Yeah.
And it's the burden of hospital systems and insurance companies and bureaucracy and people controlling every aspect of your practice who have no idea what they're talking about half the time.
They didn't do the doctoring thing. You did.
Right. Yeah. And physicians have really lost control of the industry. And it's comical now that people blame rising healthcare costs on doctors. It's not doctors. It's the corporate executives of hospital systems.
I've had this part of this conversation. I've had many times.
Yeah.
And I do know. And it was actually the first time I heard this was from a clinician. I was talking to a rheumatologist. Yeah. And I'm giving him these looks, and he's like, don't give me those looks. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm as much of a victim of these insurance companies as you, And I was like, sorry then. I'm sorry.
True.
I'm sorry because
very true.
Yeah. And I backed off. I was like, I was just like, and you get this, right? But I'll say it for the audience, right? Like when you show up in a certain attitude, right? It's like, okay, somebody's telling me I've got arthritis. Just give me a pill. I want to get out of here, right? And there is no pill. There's no pill for my kind of arthritis, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying if you had rheumatoid arthritis, which you don't, right? Then there would be pills, but I don't think you should take them because it's, it's not a good idea, but insurance says it is. And I'm like, whoa. This is way more than I'm getting, right? This conversation was a first. I was like, this guy's admitting to me that he doesn't like the system. And that was like a wake-up call for me. I was like, okay, well, all right, give me your best advice. And he did. And I was like, thank you. That was like the first frank conversation I had with an MD ever. Yeah. And it was in a clinical scenario. Now, it's been repeated many times, of course, on this show.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So I get it. I know what you mean. And it's not just MDs, it's dentists. My dentist said, like one of the big insurance providers threatened her with an audit, right? And she was like, "Why do you want to audit me?" And she's like, or the insurance people say, "Well, you did this, you did that, you did this, and we just want to make sure everything's cool, right?" And she's like, "Okay, bring it," And they're like, "What?" And what they're using, they're doing the audit as a threat to get some sort of compliance, right? Sure. And she's like, yeah, go ahead, audit me. I know I'm in compliance. And I was like, whoa, geez, this is an ongoing battle.
It is.
Yeah.
And the entire system is broken, and every doctor knows it. Anyone who's in the clinical realm knows it. And most providers are stuck.
Right.
They're stuck because, the income is comfortable enough that you would never leave. Why would you leave? Why would a surgeon like me making, 7 figures want to just step away and start from scratch with nothing?
It's the golden handcuffs kind of idea. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Until you reach a breaking point, and that's what happened with me. Yeah.
So what did that breaking point feel like? It just felt like, obviously, you're probably burnt out, but it seems like it's not a physical burnout. It's more like I don't know. What's your take on that? What did it feel like?
It's an emotional, moral, psychological burnout, disillusionment, frustration, decay.
Right.
Where you reach a point. And for me, it was I had some major health issues. This was about I'm 53 now. When I hit 40 was when I had some major health issues that were all related to the fact that I wasn't taking care of myself, that I was so busy, stressed out, focused on my career,
not sleeping, not eating right. Yes.
Yeah, and they don't even teach you in medical school, residency training. They don't teach you anything other than how to treat a problem, how to treat an acute. You have a heart attack, you have a kidney stone, you have cancer. How do you treat it?
Right.
Nothing about being proactive, being preventive. How can I optimize? How can I want to have better energy. I want to lose weight. I want to feel better and be able to be there for my kids.
Right.
Well, medical school and training don't teach any of that stuff.
No.
and so that was really a wake-up call for me that got me to pursue and find this whole other world of approaching health in a very different way. And that's, once you see it, you can't unsee it kind of thing.
Totally.
I saw this entire new way of approaching health and performance optimization, wellness, call it whatever you want. Longevity is the buzzword right now.
Sure.
Once you see that, you can't step away. You can't step back into the old model.
Yeah. So talk about the transition and sort of like, I'm sure your family had something to say about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So talk about like how hard it was to move away.
It was, yeah. So when I first, saw this other world, saw that I suddenly had a real passion and drive for this other world that I had not had, way back since I was in medical school, excited about medicine.
Right.
You lose that very quickly when you're in practice. So I'm going through all kinds of clinical training, learning about epigenetics, which is lifestyle medicine, learning about nutrition and gut health and hormones. They never teach you this in medical school or residency, how to fix hormones. I'm learning about functional medicine and learning about longevity science, really. It comes down to all the latest cutting edge molecules and peptides that you can use for longevity. So I find all this stuff. I'm like excited coming home. I want to do all this stuff. And my wife's like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to, what? You're gonna do what?
Right.
And I didn't even know.
And you're going to
all I knew
this.
was I was suddenly excited.
And I still get to keep my house and everything.
Yeah, right. So I quickly realized that I had to actually learn the business side of it, which no one learns in medical training at all. Anything about business, about being an entrepreneur, starting a business. And so
doing
I had
marketing,
to really
being on podcasts.
Marketing. How do you sell? Someone's going to pay me cash, and
I
had to go back to training in business masterminds and coaches and courses, certifications on the business side. How do you build a business? How do you build a team and a culture and sell something and actually get cash for that something?
Sure.
Which in medical training, you're like, why would you just use your insurance? Why would you pay cash?
There's a whole billing thing that's going on.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And so I had to combine all this new clinical knowledge, science with the business side of it.
Okay.
And when I started doing that, I was running this business on the side. I'm operating and seeing patients in my urology practice 1 hour, and then the next hour I'm seeing a patient as part of this new cash-based optimization program that I'm running now. This is back in 2018 or so.
Okay.
And I'm kind of living a split life.
Sure.
As I'm building this separate business on the side until that grew to the point that I'm like, I have to follow this. I have to do this, and I can't do it half-hearted here.
Right.
My wife was incredibly supportive throughout. She was 100% supportive of me making that full transition whenever I was ready.
Okay. You got lucky.
I did.
Yeah, you got lucky.
But I also prepared for it financially. I prepared for it.
Yeah, you took it slow.
Our house was, our home was secure. There wasn't that concern. But the biggest thing holding me back, which I think is really important to point out, was fear. My own fear.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, you have no idea that certainty that you had from 4th grade all the way through the end of medical school.
There it is.
Gone.
That's exactly.
Now suddenly you're trying to learn this new thing called improv. What?
Yep, exactly. It was having that certainty that I had earlier in my life, bringing that full circle again and realizing that I had to have absolute certainty and conviction and know that I'm going to make it one way or the other. And then you figure out the how,
Right.
I think what gets so many of us, what holds us back, and this applies to your health, this applies to business, this applies to anything, is
it's a philosophy.
Fear of not knowing the how, so you don't do the thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about it is somebody somewhere said that the word decide has a Latin root, and it means to cut. Right. Right. So it just means like you and you're making it, to make a decision is like making a cut. It's like everything on this side of that is over now. And that's really hard to do, to make that sort of commitment. Right. It's like, I'm not screwing around anymore. I'm doing this. And then it's a cut. It's like, that's gone. It's like
exactly right.
Really, really hard to do. It is like, because you don't know, It's,
exactly
it's the uncertainty is like, okay, well, I'm making this cut and I can't go back. Right. So anyway, if anybody's thinking about it, just know that it gets easier to figure out how after you make the cut, because you can't go back anymore.
Exactly right. Yeah.
That's what I learned anyway.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins' work.
Yeah.
And one thing that he talks about a lot is resourcefulness.
Right.
And I think it's a key point that we get so caught up in I don't have the limiting beliefs. I don't have the knowledge. I've never built a business. I've never done this before. I don't know. Right. Yeah, it's resourcefulness that once you have that conviction, that belief that it's going to happen, suddenly the how declares itself, because you're resourceful, because like you said, you have no other choice but making it work.
Right. Yeah. And in reality, like it feels that way. Like when you make a big decision, right? It feels like I'm like not going to be the same Jeff Smith ever again, right?
That's right.
But like
exactly
6 months into it, you go, oh yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Right?
Right? Yeah. I mean, but in the moment when you're making that big decision with all that fear, it's like, it seems like you're like jumping off a cliff, but in reality, you're not, you know?
That's right.
Like if it all goes to shit, you can still go back and get a job. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the conviction that is going to happen.
Right.
Exactly.
And what I think makes it easier sometimes to make those decisions is to say, come what may, I'm going to do my damnedest to make this happen. Mm-hmm. And then let the chips fall. Like, right? Like once you've been through this oh shit cycle a couple of times, it gets easier. Okay. So let's talk about the evolution of the Gapin Institute and what you're doing and what's most fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've I could say I went on a health journey in my late 30s, like say around 38ish. I realized that people older than me, but still in my peer group, were much more fit, right? And I thought of myself as, Air Force guy, fit, thought I was doing things right. And I wasn't, like my wife is addicted to shopping, like most people, So I would be taking her to like outlet malls and I couldn't walk more than 100 steps without wanting to sit down, right? I was in that like I'm way too inflamed mode and I had no idea why, right?
Yeah.
So then that got me into this, like just realizing that that's not normal was enough for me to like make I got to do something about this. That was it. I was like, most people my age can walk more than 100 steps without wanting to sit down. Right.
Yeah.
So I figured that out. Right. But like that started me on this whole journey of, gut health and green smoothies. Who thought I was going to be making green smoothies the rest of my life? Not me. Sure. But now as people look at me, right, they think I'm a freak. They like if I bring I had a temp job at the Air Force Base hospital, and every day I brought my green smoothie, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" And I started listing off the ingredients, and they're like looking at me like I got 3 heads. It's like it's still not part of mainstream, doing all these things that you're teaching people to do. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's definitely starting to gain attention. And,
right.
If you go to your doctor and say, hey, I don't walk as far as the next guy, or I get tired easily, or, my mind's not working like it was, they're going to run the same worthless basic labs that don't tell you anything.
Right.
They're going to say, oh, well, if it gets bad enough, we'll maybe do a CAT scan. But there's no tools in their toolbox for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, other than, they're going to check your labs. Oh my gosh, you need a statin. That's
sure.
And that's what happened to me when I was hitting that wall way back in my career. That was what my concierge doctor told me.
Wow.
And so it's recognizing that, we have this complex system and there are all kinds of inputs that are affecting it. And it's things like our hormones. It's things like you mentioned gut health, which is such a critical driver of almost everything in our body.
Yeah.
Metabolic health, which is a fancy term for blood sugar control.
Right.
It's not just diabetics who need to worry about that, but
and sugar is everywhere. That was like the key thing, right?
Yeah.
That sugar is literally in everything.
It is. Yeah. And it may be that, the reason why your mind isn't working like it needs to, it may be the foods that you're eating, not necessarily are bad foods, but they're bad for you at this snapshot in time.
Right.
That's where all the testing can help us identify that. And it's really identifying what are the drivers of the issues you're having and how can we optimize your system to function like it's supposed to.
Right.
And so most of the people we work with, I want to have even more energy. I want to have even more focus and better drive. And I want to burn some of that belly fat for the men or women. They want to lose the fat in the butt and look good in a bikini. And they want to feel attractive to their partner. And they want to be a good leader in the community or to their business or a good parent. And I want to have sex with my partner at night. I want to live longer and healthy and be there for my grandkids. None of that stuff is addressed in any way with our traditional healthcare system.
Right.
Like you go to your doctor and they're going to laugh like, yeah, your labs look fine. You're quote normal.
Right. Normal sucks, by the way.
Normal sucks. I agree with you. Right? Who wants to be normal?
I will say it is a point of pride, right? That like I only see a doctor like for emergencies and once a year, right? That can be a point of pride, right? So you can go in, and I just did it, like, and I got my labs and no notes, right? They were all good, right? And
that's
I'm
the problem.
56.
Yeah, look at the wrong markers.
I know,
and they tell you you're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as like the ordinary folks go, right? They're still shocked. You're 56 and you're not on any prescription medication. I'm like, no, and I don't want to be. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah.
Yes, no, they're not looking at the right things. They're not testing the right things. They're just testing the things that say should be tested, right? They're not specific to me.
Close to what we really need. Yeah,
right.
The tests that we have, and when you go to your regular doctor, is looking for crisis situations, like you're having a heart attack, you're in kidney failure, you're in liver failure, stuff like that. They're not looking for the key markers that you need when it comes to optimization, performance. I hate the word wellness because I don't want to just be well. I want to function at my best, at my peak.
Right.
And so that's really the key difference. And so when we talk about testing, it's really the advanced testing, diagnostics, blood work, gut health you talked about.
Right.
Cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and
Huge.
markers of blood sugar and cardiovascular health. That's where you can really start to move the needle.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of the things. I'm going to go to the wonderful, because there was some good stuff on the one sheet. So let's talk about so what's most fun to talk about when it comes to longevity science? Is it epigenetics or hormones, or is it just like a whole big conversation?
Yeah.
Like how far away is current research on epigenetics to the point where we won't get so old so fast? Is that even a thing?
So yeah, great question. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion, misinformation, influencers telling you a bunch of nonsense. So epigenetics, first of all, is simply the science of how our behavior, our lifestyle, our environment, what we do, where we live, how we live, affects our genetic expression. Epi means above, epigenetics. Okay. So that does not necessarily have to do with longevity. It has to do with the way our bodies work. So for example, based on your genetics, some people have increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, based on how they metabolize, process foods.
Right.
For example, saturated fats. Like
certain markers
the big battle
present or not present. Right. Yeah.
What's that?
Certain markers that are present or not present just because of that's their genetic profile?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
or
more,
not. Okay.
Yeah, you have genes, and the genes dictate how your body responds to foods that you eat, for example.
Okay.
Or micronutrient levels, or exercise, or sleep, or whatever. So based on the foods you're eating, your genes are going to respond, and they're going to potentially lead to a risk of Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, et cetera.
Wow.
However, we know that based on those genes, we can vary your environment and affect the outcome.
Interesting.
So, for example, red meat. So a lot of people will argue over whether red meat's good for you, bad for you, harmful, not, whether, people have carnivore diet, paleo, vegetarian, whatever.
Right.
Well, there are certain genes that dictate how your body responds to saturated fat, which is found in red meat, for example.
Okay.
If you have a certain variant of ApoE, for example, ApoE gene regulates saturated fat metabolism, one of about 20 that we really look at.
Okay.
But this one in particular, if you have a variant of that gene, red meat may be very harmful for you because that gene tells us that you're at increased risk of heart disease if you have high saturated fat.
Okay.
So for those people who have that certain variant, we will want to change your diet, specifically limit red meat for you in particular, because for you, we can completely eliminate that risk by simply altering your diet.
Right.
And so that's the power of epigenetics, of how we can alter lifestyle, behavior, environment, what you're eating, the supplements you're taking, your workouts,
and it's personalized.
Your recovery.
It's not like a standard. It's not like
correct. You're
cutter.
personalizing it to have a very specific health outcome.
Right.
All right. So that's epigenetics, science of lifestyle, environment. You can get that from a cheek swab. We can get all the information we need.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome.
Pretty cool. And not the 23andMe entertainment stuff, like you're more likely to like vanilla ice cream or chocolate nonsense.
Who
like,
cares?
That's nonsense. That doesn't help you. We want the actionable stuff, and that's what epigenetics is really all about.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, longevity is a buzzword that's gotten a lot of attention, and people are looking for it. And I don't want to live to be 150. What's the point of being old and decrepit? And
Totally. Yeah.
So
there's definitely something to the environment, though, like your environment
Absolutely.
and
100%.
your diet in your environment. It's not
100%.
it's not just the diet, and it's not just environment. It's diet in the environment, right? So yeah,
it's a lot of that's just one microcosm. Yeah.
Right.
So when we think about longevity, there's lifespan and health span. Lifespan is how long do I live? Health span, how well do I live?
right.
Everyone's looking for the magic molecule. What's the magic drug I could take to live forever and be young and fountain of youth kind of stuff?
Sure.
In reality, we haven't found it yet.
Right.
Long story short, we have not found it yet. Rapamycin is a molecule.
I remember
it's been
that
used
one from the books.
in transplant medicine.
Works really
for
good in
many
mice.
decades.
Right.
Yes. In mice studies, it does show that it extends lifespan.
Right.
We don't have human studies yet. We don't know yet that applies, that it translates to humans. Okay, so we don't know yet. What we do know is that there are a lot of things that we can do to change health span. Again, how the quality of your life. And that comes back to what you're just talking about. It's gut health. It's reducing systemic inflammation. It's regulating cortisol. It's what you eat. It's optimizing hormones and nutrient levels and optimizing immune function. All these things that we focus on now, that's going to improve your health span, how you feel, how you live, how you perform.
How you show up. Yeah.
How you show up every day. You're exactly right. And that, we believe, is how you're going to extend lifespan.
Yeah. So
that's really the truth.
I'm going to drop a buzzword. So
yes,
if it throws you for a loop, just tell me to move on. But talk about I think it's mTOR, if I'm getting that right.
Yes.
That's
Love
activated by like heat and cold.
Yes.
And so I just got back from a month-long trip to Japan. So that means there was a 38C bath there waiting for me every day, and it was amazing.
There you go. I love it. That's awesome.
It fixed my toes. Anyway, talk a little bit about mTOR and heat exposure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are genes that are associated with longevity.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And some of the sirtuin genes are ones that David Sinclair is really focused on.
Okay.
And then there's mTOR. So mTOR is a gene that we know when you turn it on, it's responsible for anabolic growth, muscle build, that sort of thing.
All right.
When you turn it off, we understand that that's actually associated with longevity in animal studies.
Interesting. So off
Very fast,
is
right? And that's
off,
the yin and
off
yang.
is what you're looking for, and
Off
no.
is
For
off is what
longevity,
you're looking for.
Okay.
For longevity.
Got it.
But what we don't know, the nuance, the devil's in the details.
You don't want it off forever. You want it off in small doses, right? Off in small doses.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Because we know that muscle is the key to longevity.
Totally. Right.
When you have muscle, that improves metabolic health, cardiovascular health, it improves hormones, it improves metabolism, energy. Everything is better when you have healthy, lean muscle mass.
Right.
To have that, you need mTOR turned on. And so there's this battle in the science world around whether you want to turn it on or whether you want to turn it off. How much protein is ideal? How much muscle do you want? No, you want to turn it off. Rapamycin is how you turn it off. And that's all the battle around longevity right now. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, these things usually, as the science goes on, the answer is probably not binary, right?
Exactly right.
It's never binary because we're not computers.
And you probably want to cycle it.
Right. Yes.
You want to cycle it. You need healthy protein intake. You need to build muscle. You need to be in an anabolic phase most of the time.
Right.
But it's like a race car that you don't want in the red all the time because eventually that engine's going to blow.
Okay. Fascinating. So are you familiar with, what was it, Rhonda Patrick?
Very familiar with Rhonda Patrick. Oh, yeah.
She's amazing, but I cannot keep up with her. Talk about devil in the details.
Brilliant mind.
Brilliant.
And she's, and what I love about her.
She doesn't want to leave anything out. Right?
That's right. Very thorough, very research-based.
my ADHD dies in minute 15. I'm like, just cut to the chase. I love her though.
But
the information's amazing.
Yeah, there are a lot of influencers out there, a lot of people on IG who, IG and Twitter and Reddit and social who act like they're experts. They have no credentials, no background, but more importantly, they're not citing real science.
Right, she does.
I love that Rhonda Patrick. She just sticks to the facts. These are the facts. Do with them what you will. The science says this.
Everything is with a paper. She doesn't talk about anything without a paper.
That's right. It's all science, and she's not selling stuff. She's just providing information. So I love her content. I love her work.
It's amazing. Yeah. Good stuff. Yes. So my smoothie is well, it's my hybrid version because I include things that, just to make the damn thing palatable. I don't think she would approve of my banana in my smoothie, but if it weren't there, my wife wouldn't drink it. So there you go. But she's the one that turned me on to, what was it? Moringa. Have you ever heard of Moringa? It's like a supplement. That's amazing. But you really have to manage the dose. Otherwise it's like taking that salty stuff.
Yes. Exactly.
I misread the dosage. I thought it said tablespoon and it's teaspoon. And yeah, it's a run to the bathroom. So be careful with your moringa. So, okay. We are having a good time now. So let's talk a little bit about testosterone. I think the most fun discovery that I had was like rereading a piece of The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
And I don't remember where it is, but I think it's sort of like the preface of the Sex Machine chapter, which is scary to talk about a little bit. But he talks about how his buddy Neil Gaiman, the author, was like not a big fan of steak, right? And he was complaining to Tim about all these sort of like symptoms, like probably your patients are complaining about. And he's like, yeah, how's your protein intake? So he gets him to start eating these, grass-fed steaks, and everything changes. But like the key thing for this chapter was he gets like, new life in the manhood department, so to speak. And he can't get enough of his wife. And his wife's like, slow down, stud. Right. So talk a little bit about testosterone and male performance, as we say.
Well, the opportunity is not lost here to point out the fact that you're getting your testosterone information from Tim Ferriss. So I want to call it what it is right there. So I just want that speaks to the point I just made. But no, I love it. It's very common. Anecdotes wherever you hear it is great.
Right,
but the reality is that testosterone is a critically important hormone in men. Men tend to think of it as it's for sex, it's for building muscle, and yes, and it's critically important for cognitive function. For focus, for mental acuity, memory. It's important for bone health. It's important for metabolism, burning fat, building muscle. It's important for immune function, cardiovascular health.
Gotcha.
We know from dozens of published studies with hundreds of thousands of men that men with low testosterone have a dramatically increased risk of early heart disease, early cardiovascular events, and early mortality. Okay. Unequivocal, men with low testosterone die younger. Crazy.
Wow.
So it is directly correlated with longevity. It is not just about sex. So it's a very important hormone. Okay?
Got it. Thanks for that.
Of course, yeah. Now, it's bastardized.
Right.
Because number one, people say, oh, it's just for sex. Number two, doctors look at the wrong reference interval and tell you you're, quote, normal. And again, normal sucks, but they'll tell you you're, quote, normal.
Right. And they're not really any concerned about anything that's not, life critical or life threatening.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. They're not focused on energy, cognitive function, performance.
They want to get you out of the door and make sure they don't get sued. That's basically their.
That's the biggest thing. And if your testosterone total level is over 250, you don't qualify because if I prescribed it and you have a heart attack, it's on me.
Right.
Reality is testosterone doesn't cause heart disease, doesn't cause heart attack. It reduces it dramatically.
Wow.
Studies are dramatically very clear. It does not cause it. It reduces it.
Wow.
But that man who has had low testosterone for 30 years, massively increased risk of heart disease, goes in testosterone 6 months later, has a heart attack. Oh my God, it was the tea that caused it.
Right. No.
And so that's what we're starting to really get past the misperception, the false news that it's bad for you, but it's actually good for you. And it has so many massive benefits that we need optimal testosterone levels.
So let's talk about some controversial things.
Sure.
So like, where are you on like the sodium and all the the potassium and the magnesiums? Like, are you...
Well, so these are micronutrients that you're talking about. And what's really important is that they're underappreciated, but they need to be tested. And they're very subtle in the fact that it's kind of like you take your car for an oil change, right? And you think of the people who don't do it. My car's working fine. Why do I need an oil change? I don't know. It's fine.
That oil is
until something breaks down. You're like, oh my God, what happened?
Right.
Well, you didn't take care of it for all those years.
Right.
And one of those things that can affect that are micronutrients.
Okay.
So like, for example, magnesium is a critical micronutrient that most people are deficient in. Very important hormone, very important micronutrient
right,
that we really need for a lot of cellular processes that you may not recognize it today or tomorrow, but eventually a lot of things break down when you don't have optimal micronutrient levels.
Sure.
This is why people say multivitamins are a waste.
Right.
You're just wasting money. Well, most of them out there are garbage. So most of them are full of fillers and not full of quality. But if you have a good quality multivitamin with quality ingredients, quality source micronutrients that your body needs,
sure,
that's critically important for you. And that's helpful. That's what I fully support. Again, it's being proactive. It's preventative. You're optimizing before it becomes a real problem.
There you go. So let's talk a little bit about like stress and sleep, because I think what gets lost in like a lot of the discussions is like, to me, like sleep is a superpower, and it builds too, right? Like I started this conversation with you talking about how I had like a sleepless night that rolled into a shitty day the next day, but I recovered. Like, well, okay, to be fair, I went right into a trip to Japan, so I was going to be screwed anyway, so it didn't matter so much. It actually helped because I was exhausted and slept well on the plane.
Yeah.
Probably the first time in my life. It actually thought, maybe you should like skip a night of sleep before you get on an international plane. Maybe. It's worth thinking about.
So sleep is I would argue the most underappreciated aspect of your health.
Right. Yeah.
It is when your body heals, it's when it repairs itself, it's when you recover, it is when you make most of your hormones.
Wow.
It is when your immune system, your memory consolidates. And really important, we talked earlier about how important muscle is. It's the organ of longevity, and you need healthy, lean muscle for so many reasons. When you go to the gym and you're lifting weights, you're not building muscle.
No, you're tearing muscle. Yeah.
You're exactly right. You're tearing it down so that you can build it up bigger, better, stronger when you're recovering. And that's typically when you're sleeping.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, a lot of guys, men and women, are in the gym crushing themselves, beating themselves to death, and not seeing any results. But yet there's such high stressed state, their sleep is suffering, and they're not seeing any results because of it. Very common.
Wow.
Yeah.
So basically, like if you don't sleep, you're never actually going to repair those muscles. You're not going to see strength gain. You're not going to see added muscle. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And a lot of people will say, I sleep fine. I go to bed at 11. I wake up at 6, 7 hours. I'm good. No problem. And I hear that all the time. Put a wearable on, put a device on to track your sleep quality. And that will often tell a very different story. So I had a great story. I had a woman who couldn't lose weight no matter what she tried. I tried everything, she would say.
Right. Oh, somebody's got their
I'm sleeping
Aura
fine.
ring on.
Well, we would track her. And I'm big on Aura.
Aura.
Okay.
I recognize
and
it. Yep.
She would sleep 7 hours, but she only had 9 minutes of deep sleep.
Right.
And deep sleep is the key stage of sleep where you repair and you restore.
Right.
And you need an hour. You need at least 1 hour of deep sleep every night. And she was getting 9 minutes.
Yeesh.
That's when you wake up from 7 hours of sleep and you still feel like crap.
Right.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay. Good to know.
So that's why tracking is so important, to be able to see the quality of your sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's talk a little bit about like what you get off of that Aura ring over there. So,
yeah.
And What are those running now? I mean, are they still in the $1,000 range? I don't even know.
No. So and first of all, I love Aura, but there are other options out there as well. Auras are around 300 to 400, give or take.
That's not bad. That's
not bad, but
no.
they do have the first iteration. That was it. Now there's like a membership model behind it where you got to pay for a subscription sort of thing. But there are other devices out there as well. But the studies show that rings are more accurate for sleep than watches or bands or mattresses, etc. So
that makes sense.
I really support the Aura. Ultra Human has a ring. Bond is coming out with a ring in December as well. Wow. So there are other devices as well.
Okay.
But that's how you track the sleep quality is by being able to track the deep sleep and the REM sleep.
Okay.
And you do that with a device. Otherwise, you're just guessing.
Yeah. And then you also have you had the experience of looking at your tracking after maybe you had a glass of wine or two more than maybe you wanted to?
Absolutely.
I don't wear the ring specifically for that because
great point.
I don't want to know.
Well,
I know it's bad. I know it's trashed.
So there are two metrics that we track with our client that I think everyone should be doing at home on their own, whether you work with us, precision medicine or not, and that is track your sleep and track your stress.
Okay.
And you can track your stress. I'm going to come back to your wine example, but I want to make this point that'll correlate. HRV, heart rate variability, is a metric that is really a surrogate, a measure of your internal stress. And you can measure that with a chest strap every morning when you first wake up.
Okay.
Put a chest strap on. Morpheus is a great one out there. Polar makes one called H10 as well. There are a couple of straps you can use.
Yep. I remember those from Air Force days, but we strapped those on for our tests. Yeah.
Okay. So you wear it for 2.5 minutes. It'll give you your HRV, and now you can compare your internal system stress level from one day to the next.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, really powerful.
And it probably has
your
an
wine
app
example.
that does the tracking for you. So
yeah, Morpheus has his own app that goes with the device. If you use the Polar strap, the Polar H10 strap, you need to use the Elite HRV app, which is free.
Okay.
To be able to sync with it, API connect with it to track your daily HRV.
Well, that's perfect.
What you'll find is, to answer your question, is you'll find your HRV plummets,
right?
Which means stress rises dramatically when you drink alcohol.
Totally.
Dramatic change from
everybody
one day to the next.
knows that. It's called a hangover. You feel
what's
it.
Interesting is most people will say, "No, I'm fine. It doesn't affect me. I'm not hungover. I'm okay. I can handle it."
I know what you mean.
Bullshit. Excuse my
I
language.
know what you mean.
Right?
Yeah.
And the numbers don't lie.
Like if you're a regular, say like I have like a beer or two a night, right? You don't know what it feels like not to have a beer or two a night until you don't have a beer or two a night, right? So you need that, like, I don't know, call it 30 days of not having any alcohol at all to know what that feels like. You have to re-baseline to me, right? At least then you know what like a healthy baseline might look like. I don't know if it's 30 days. I just threw that out there. Right.
So the key is that things like alcohol massively stress our system. I know a lot of people say, well, it makes me fall asleep. Well, you fall asleep, but you get no quality sleep.
In
you
a
wake
bad
up, you
way.
still feel it.
Yeah.
In a bad way. That's right. And so I use the wearables not to be a pain in the butt and not to hassle people, but to help you see the data. And when you see the data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And a lot of times when you see proof is in the pudding, oh my gosh, it really is affecting me. It makes people more willing to change. And that's really the key is that the evidence supports.
It's undeniable, you know.
Yes,
there's one you can deny. You can say, "Yeah, I'm hungover," but not really, right? I've had way worse hangovers. Sure, you have. That doesn't mean where you are doesn't suck, right?
Right, exactly.
Because I've been hearing all of these stories about people going to see people like you, and they're wearing their wearables and they're doing their tracking, and then something happens, and somebody gets married, and they go and have a few too many. And then they look at their wearable data and they're like, "Oh my God."
Exactly.
Right. So I'm trying to avoid that. Oh my God. Cause I like occasionally being bad, you know. I think it'll get harder as you get older, you know?
Yeah. And I think the key is people will beat themselves up like that, where you have a cheat meal like that, you go to a wedding or a party or whatever, and you eat a piece of cake, and you're like, "Oh my God, everything I've worked till I've ruined, it's over," and then you're off the cliff,
you will
fall
recover.
off the wagon, you're done.
Yeah.
It's baby steps. It's just the very best thing you do is what's the next thing you do.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about how folks can get in touch with Tracy Gapin, MD, former urologist. Now, I don't even know what to call you.
Thanks so much.
Peak performance guy.
I am founder of the Peak Launch Program.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love it.
So you can check out my website. It's gapininstitute.com.
Right.
And if you go to gapininstitute.com/launch, I have a number of gifts for the listeners. I have a great high performance health handbook.
Wow.
I have an ultimate peptide guide. I have a complimentary digital copy of my best-selling book, Mel 2.0.
Whoa.
A copy of the TED Talk I gave a few years ago.
Yeah.
And if you want to jump on a call with my team, there's a link for that as well. So again, it's gapininstitute.com/launch.
So do you do like remote stuff too? Or is it like all in person?
Almost everyone we work with, they're remote. So we work with people around the country. We have clients in Washington State. They're up in Maine, Wisconsin, California, throughout the country. So we do a lot of work via telehealth, and it's all remote work. In this day and age, brick and mortar sort of fallen by the wayside.
Sure. But like, and just to be clear, you're 100% cash because insurance doesn't pay for any of this stuff.
Correct. Yeah. Insurance is there for you when you're sick, when you have a diagnosis code, when you're ill.
This is not
what you're
getting.
They don't care about optimization.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. HSA applies. A lot of people ask, like, they have like federal savings account, a health savings account. Those apply for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. So like you can, okay. I've never invested in one of those. So you just gave me a reason to think about it.
Pre-tax money. It's powerful.
Right.
Pre-tax money is great.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Doc Tracy, this has been a blast. I'm glad we finally got it together. Schedules.
Thanks so much.
Be damned. You have a good one.
Appreciate you as well.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.